Okay, so we're going to look at the AngleVBlock and how we're going to generate this model. You'll notice that we have the top here that has the V-block portion, and it is tilted at an angle to the sides of the part. So the process that I'm going to take to create this is, number one, we're going to create the base, and that's going to be on our traditional top plane. I'm going to put the holes in separately as its own feature, and I'm going to use the hole wizard to do that. And then I'm going to place the plane, a reference plane that's going to be at a 45-degree angle, to the front plane. But what we don't have in this one, like what we had on our tutorial, is this is not located in the center of this base. Okay, it is located 2.5 inches from the back face to that corner, and 1.25 inches from the side to that corner. So that's actually going to be what we focus on, locating an axis so that we can then create a sketch plane that's going to be at that 45 degrees. So we're going to be using some of that reference geometry that we learned about in our practice problem. So first things first, we're going to start the model. So I'm going to, again, start the base and go off of the top plane and then put our holes in, and then we'll tackle the top V-block portion. So going over here to SolidWorks, I, again, have everything set up in the background here. This is an English template, and I'm going to start with an extrude boss base, top plane, and I'm going to use my center rectangle from the center out. Okay, and I'm going to smart dimension. Short side here is 5 inches, and the longer side is 7 inches. Okay. All right, so that looks good to me. I'm fully defined because I'm tied to my origin. So I'm going to exit my sketch, and I am going to extrude this 1/2 inch because that's the thickness on the drawing. I do not want it mid-plane. I want a blind going straight up. Yep, it wouldn't be a big deal if it was mid-plane, but just putting it up. Okay, so now I've got that. I'm going to rename this. I'm just going to call this kind of our standard base. I'm going to expand out the sketch so I can see that it was fully defined, and I'm going to go off of that. Now I'm going to add in my 4 holes. Okay, so if we go back underneath here, we've got 4 holes. It says 4 by, even though we don't see that one in the back there because of the V-block in the way. But each one of these holes is going to be 3/4 inch. It's going to be 1 inch from each one of the sides. So I am going to go back to SolidWorks. And we are going to use the hole wizard for this. And we're going to put all 4 holes in, 3/4 inch diameter holes. And then we're going to locate them. So I'm going to use the hole wizard. I'm going to select on, actually, I'm going to select my hole stuff first before I position. So I'm going to do a through hole. So just the regular hole. And see inch, if you got to arrow down and select that, go ahead and do that, all drill sizes. And then you want to go to the 3/4 inch diameter. Okay, and then make sure that your end condition is through all, which is what we're going to do. Let's see. Once you have your hole at 3/4 inch, we're going to go to position. Do not hit 3D sketch. Go over to the surface, and you're going to select the surface that we're going to be on, and it brings it square to the screen for us. Our hole is on the end of our cursor. So I'm just going to place one up in the upper left-hand corner, go straight over, go down, and we're going to put 4 of them around. Okay, once we have that, you can hit escape to stop that portion. Now we're going to place them. So I'm going to smart dimension, go straight up to smart dimension. I'm going to go from that back surface to the center of my first hole, and that's going to be 1 inch, enter. And then from the right side to the center of that hole is also going to be 1 inch. Okay. Now I'm going to accept that dimension. I'm still in position here. You'll notice that my first hole that I just located, the star in the middle is black. That means that that hole location is fully defined. But now the other 3 are blue. So I need to make those fully defined. And I'm going to use a combination of more dimensions as well as relations. Okay, so I'm going to start by relations. So I'm going to add a relation from the center of the hole that I just dimensioned to the one on the left here on the top, okay? And I just want those to be horizontal to one another so that they're in line in that direction, okay? So horizontal between these two. And then I'm gonna hit OK, and I'm going to left click off of those and then hit the escape just to make sure that nothing is selected. I'm gonna add another relation. The second relation is going to be from that same hole that has the dimensions on it, directly down below it. And we're gonna make those two vertical so that when one moves, the other one moves along with it in that orientation. We're gonna hit OK and then click off of it. Okay, now neither one of those are black yet, but they are tied to, in this case, the 1 inch dimension coming from that back face, and then the 1 inch dimension from the side face, okay? Then the next thing that we're gonna do, I'm gonna go back to my drawing, I think, oopsie. I wanna go to that V block. I wanna put in the 5 inch dimension. And the reason we're doing that, I'm gonna kind of explain to you, is that when we start looking at best ways to dimension and how we're going to manufacture the part, if we do another 1 inch and a 1 inch over here, like our drawing shows or our model shows, then we're going to have to reset up that operation in a different corner. Okay. We want to try to make the manufacturing process efficient by, if we already are going from one corner, let's have all of our dimensions come from there. So we are going to add a dimension. So we're gonna go up to Smart Dimension. We're gonna go from the center of the top hole to the center of the bottom hole. And this dimension is going to be 3 inches, okay? That way it's coming technically from that upper left-hand corner. And then we're going to take the dimension between the hole here and the hole here, and we are going to make that 5 inches, okay? Okay. So now you'll notice that 3 of the 4 are fully defined, right? 3 of the 4 are black now. This one in the lower left-hand corner is the only one that's left. Now, that's the only one that we didn't add relations to. So now, since we have all 3 of the 4 done, now all we have to do is go up to add relations. And from the top hole here to that bottom hole there, I want those two to be vertical. Okay. And then hit escape to unselect. And then add one more relation. And I'm going to go from that hole back to the hole on the right. And I'm going to make those two horizontal. Okay. And if I click off, all 4 now have black stars in the center. And you'll notice that you're fully defined at the bottom. Okay. Now that I'm fully defined, my positions are set, my sizes were set from the previous tab from the type. I can hit the green check mark for my hole positions. And now you'll notice that I have all 4 of them and they've added to the design tree. And when I expand them out, both sketches are fully defined. Okay. So good. Good time to do a save. So I'm going to do a file, save as. I'm going to keep this in my module 5, and this is going to be AngleVBlock. Okay. All right. Now that I have my base created, now is where I'm going to have to first create that reference geometry to get the sketch in the right orientation so I can make that top V block part. Okay. So I am going to start by, let's kind of peek back over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create 2 planes that are going to intersect one another. I'm going to create a plane parallel here that's offset by 1 1/4. And then I'm going to create a parallel plane from that back surface 2 1/2 in. And where those 2 intersect is where I'm going to put my axis for the plane that we're going to create. Okay. And that'll set that corner exactly where it needs to be. So I'm going to go back to SolidWorks over here. I'm going to kind of orient this like this. And I'm going to be on my features tab. I'm going to go all the way over to the right, and I'm going to arrow down under reference geometry, and we're going to do a plane. And we're going to say my first reference is going to be this right side. Okay, so the surface itself. And I want that to be 1.25 dimension, but I'm going to flip the offset so that it's into the part, not away from the part. So 1.25 and flip the offset if you need to so that it's sitting right here from that right side. And I'm going to hit OK. That's plane number 1. I'm going to do another plane. So reference geometry plane, and we're going to go back from here. So I'm going to go, oopsie, you know what? I had it selected, my fault. Let me go X out of here, unselect. So we're not on that plane. I think that's what I had. Do this plane. Okay. Yeah. So if you had anything selected from the previous, it's going to put it back in. And I didn't want that. I want to start fresh because I want my first reference to be this back surface. So select on that. And again, it's going away from the part with its dimension. This time I want my dimension to be 2.5 and I want to flip that orientation so it goes into the part. So now I've got two intersecting planes. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to hit OK. All right. Now I'm going to, this is that corner where that front corner is going to be located. So what I've done is I've created a plane going this way and a plane going this way for that intersection of the 1.25 and the 2.5. We're now going to create an axis at the intersection of those two planes. So let's go there. Okay. Because we need that axis so that we know what we're going to be rotating our new plane, which is going to be plane number 3 around. So now I'm going to create an axis and I'm going to have it at the intersection of planes 2. And I'm going to, you can either select it here and here, or you can expand this out up here and you can select the other plane. So it's the intersection of those two planes. And you're going to notice that, so make sure it says the intersection of the two planes. You're going to notice that it automatically puts the axis in there. It gives us a preview of where it would be. And that's exactly where we want it. So we're going to say, okay. And that's our axis number 1. So again, we put in a couple elements here. So let's do a quick file save. You do not need to rename these planes or expand them out or the axes. Okay. You can just leave them just like that and keep them generic. All right. So now I have that axis for which I'm going to be rotating the sketch plane that I'm now going to create that I'm going to actually use. So I needed to create some of this reference geometry to construct that axis. Okay. So we'll be done with plane 1 and 2 if you would. So now what we're going to do is we are going to create one more reference plane. So on the features tab, plane. Now this time you want to have axis 1 in here. So either select it here or here, and you're going to have your first reference is axis 1. Okay. Then we need a secondary axis because notice that the plane is being created like right along or parallel to plane number 2 right now. And what we're going to do is we are going to reference plane number 1, which is this one right here. So our second reference is going to be plane number 1. Okay. And now its first default is going to be that it wants to create it perpendicular to plane number 1. But we want it to be at an angle from plane number 1. All right. So right now it's remembering 30 degrees. I'm going to zoom in here, right here. Okay. And it went from this surface right here. I'm sorry, plane number 1. Let's see. Oh, plane number 1. And it went 30 degrees this way. Okay. Well, we want it to be 45 back this way. You can't put a negative 45 in. So if this is our 0 degrees, we want to go all the way around and then another 45 degrees. So that means it's going to be, I think it's going to be 270 plus 45. What is that? 315. 315. There we go. So that means, could you, if you could, I'm going to be mad because I always go from 0. That's the way I think. Let's put the 45 in there and let's flip it. Yes, you can. Thank you, Carlos. That's easier. So Carlos, yeah, so you can either put 45 or you can go all the way around and use 315. Same result either way. Sorry about that. Thank you. That's actually better. So, so now we have our plane in the orientation that we need it, and we're going to hit OK. So this is going to be our plane number 3. Plane number 3. So if we kind of move this around, you can see where plane number 3 is at that angle, 45 degrees, and it's rotating about the axis, which is the corner, the lower right-hand corner of our V. Okay. Do a quick file save. That's there. And now what we're going to do is we are going to select plane 3. And we're going to do an extrude boss base on that plane. Now it's doing that same thing that it did when we were in our in our tutorial. So I like to have my base horizontal. So I am simply going to hit the Alt key, and then I'm going to do the going to the left arrow. And what I want now, I went in this direction right now. Where I want you to look is down here in the lower left-hand corner. You see how my X is going to the left and my Y is going down. Do you see that? At least mine is. I actually want my Y to go up and my X to go to the right, kind of like that traditional Cartesian coordinate system. So I am actually going to go back in the opposite direction until I get my Y vertical and my X horizontal to the right. Does that make sense? You guys got that? So Y is going up now and my X is going to the right. So this is the orientation we want, because that means that my top plane is on the bottom right now. My front is in front of me and my right side is in its normal place. Now I'm going to zoom in here. And we are going to start sketching. Now, where we want to sketch is we want to be on this axis, or we want to be in line with that axis for the right side. So if I look here, my axis is running. Maybe I don't. My axis is running in my part right down here. I want this edge to be in line with that axis, this edge right here. Okay. So we are going to go to SolidWorks. And we are going to create a line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go above here, but not exactly over that axis. My axis is right there. I'm going to be offset intentionally to the right a little bit. And I'm just going to make a vertical line going straight up. Okay. And it's just a line. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to add a relation, and I'm going to say I want that line and that axis to be collinear. And now it's in line, right? It's putting it perfectly above that axis. That's what I want. Okay. And that's going to be okay. All right. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a center line, because you're going to notice that over here, this is a symmetrical part. So I'm going to create a center line, just like for construction reasons, to go through that center so that we can use that as a mirror for both sides. Now, instead of using the dynamic mirror this time, we're going to use the mirror entity so we can see how that's a little bit different. Okay. So I'm going to go back to SolidWorks. We're going to put a center line, and it's just going to be kind of over here. All right. I just want it offset to the left of the line that we created, and it can go further down, on the part. It doesn't have to be, on the part, because it's only going to be there for our mirroring line for the other side. So now I'm going to continue with a line command, and I'm going to mimic and sketch that V. Okay. Here. And then I'm going to stop, and then we'll connect it at the bottom after we mirror it. Now that I have this in place and I have my mirror line, we can now go up to the mirror entities at this point. We don't want to dimension anything. We're just going to mirror entities. So I'm going to mirror, and I'm going to select all the entities I want to mirror. So I'm going to select this line, that line, and it's going to continue to add them to that list. So I want these 4 lines. And then I'm going to click. Oh, not okay yet. I do want to copy, and I want to mirror about. Don't forget this. You want to mirror about your center line that you created. And now it's giving me a preview of the other side. Okay. It is a couple extra clicks as the dynamic mirror, but it really responds the same way. Okay. So now I'm going to connect my bottom and connect here. So I'm going to go line command, endpoint, escape, and then line command, endpoint, and the endpoint there. Okay. So now I have, if you would, a closed section. Not fully defined yet, but now I want to add the dimensions that we have. So I'm going to smart dimension this height, and that is going to be 2.5. Okay. And then I'm going to smart dimension the width of this line. It's going to be 0.25 from here down to the bottom. Oopsie. Smart dimension from here to the bottom. Oop, it didn't grab it. Dang it. I think it's there. Yeah. go. Smart dimension. I'll start at the bottom first. Bottom. Smart dimension. Bottom to that line. There we go. And that's 0.75. Then the angle between here and here is 45. This length from here to there, 0.25. And I think I need the overall width from one side to the other is 3. Now I'm fully defined. Okay, good, 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 good. So I'm fully defined. I have black all the way around, and I'll kind of bring this down so you can see. So if you need to see the dimensions here, these are the ones that I have. This one up here. Once we have a fully defined sketch, okay, I just want to reiterate, I'm gonna rotate this around a little bit. I've got this right side collinear to that axis so that that corner is in the same spot, 2.5 from the back, 1.25 from the right-hand side here, and it's in line with that axis, okay? And then I'm on my sketch plane that's tilted 45, and now we're gonna do our extrude. So if we look at our part, oopsie. If we look at our part here, we're gonna extrude 2.75 back from this location. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna exit my sketch because I'm fully defined. Now it's gonna go and it's gonna revert back to this, this view. So now we've got to look where we're at. Right now it's wanting to blind extrude forward. I don't want that. I want to change the direction and I want it to be 2.75. So it goes to the back. So it goes to the back, not to the front. So again, from that axis back. And that looks good. So I'm going to hit OK. So this is going to be, we're going to change this. We're going to say rename. This is going to be my V block. All right. And we'll do a save. Okay. Well, let me look. I think if we look back over here, okay, we have all of our features. We have all of our features. So there's your model. So at this point right here, we want to kind of rotate it so we can see as many features as possible. If you don't see that hole in the back, I'll assume they're all there because it's going to be identified. I'm going to do my F to fit it to screen. I'll kind of push this over here. If you leave these on the planes, that's totally fine. If you want to turn them off, you can turn them off under our eyeball. Okay, under the view, you toggle those on and off, and then you can also toggle off the axes. Okay, or you can leave it on. It's totally up to you. And then you're going to do a save. And then this is going to be your screenshot, including all of your sketches expanded so that I can see that they're fully defined. Okay, so that's going to be the first part of this V block, but then all of our other assigned problems as well. Okay. I'm going to stop the video here. We'll call this one the model, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to record creating the actual drawing.